I am standing in the corner of the briefing room aboard the USS Gerald R.R. Ford, deep in the Pacific Ocean. The room smells of stale coffee, jet fuel, and the distinct, arrogant musk of adrenaline. I am wearing plain fatigues, no rank insignia visible, blending into the gray steel walls like a shadow. I prefer it this way. Invisibility is a tactical advantage. The room is packed with the Navy's best young aviators, the hotshots here for the final evaluation problem, the last hurdle before deployment. They are loud, laughing, vibrating with the kind of confidence that has not yet been tested by a real enemy. Then the door swings open, and Lieutenant Connor walks in. My half-brother. He looks exactly like our father, square jaw, perfect hair, and a smile that says he believes the world was built just for him. He scans the room, looking for his wingmen, and his eyes land on me. He stops. A smirk spreads across his face, the same smirk I have seen since we were kids. He walks straight toward me, his voice cutting through the chatter. Hey, he shouts, loud enough for the back row to hear. Support staff need to clear out, sweetie. This briefing is for real pilots, not girls looking for a husband on the ship. The room erupts. 50 men laughing. 50 men seeing me exactly how Connor sees me, as a joke. As furniture. I do not flinch. I do not look down. I just stare at him, feeling my pulse steady in my neck. He thinks he just scored a point. He has no idea he just painted a target on his own back. Before we dive deeper, drop a comment and let me know where you are listening from. Have you ever been underestimated by someone who had no idea what you were truly capable of? I want to hear your story. That laughter in the briefing room did not just sting. It burned. But it was not a new feeling. It was a familiar ache, an old scar tearing open again. My mind flashed back 2 weeks, to a different room, a different kind of suffocation. We were at a high-end seafood restaurant in Norfolk, Virginia. White tablecloths, crystal glasses, the smell of butter and expensive wine. My father, Admiral Richard, retired, sat at the head of the table. He looked like a king holding court. We were there to celebrate Connor getting his flight slot. The golden boy was finally going to the fleet. My father raised a glass, his eyes shining with a pride I had never seen directed at me. To Connor, he announced, his voice booming. To the legacy. To the next great aviator in the family. We all raised our glasses. I smiled, or at least, I arranged my face into the shape of a smile. Then, my father reached under the table and pulled out a heavy velvet box. He slid it across the table to Connor. Connor opened it and gasped. Inside sat a vintage Rolex Submariner. Steel and gold, heavy, timeless. It was my grandfather's watch. It was worth $16,000 easily, but its value as a symbol was incalculable. It was the crown. Wear it when you break the sound barrier, son, my father said, beaming. You earned it. Then, he turned to me. He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a thin, white envelope. He slid it across the table. It was light. Meaningless. I opened it. Inside was a plastic gift card for a gas station chain. The amount written on the back in Sharpie was $100. Did not forget you, Haley, he said casually. Figured you could use this to drive down and visit us sometime. $100. To visit them. To watch them celebrate Connor. The contrast was so violent it felt physical. $16,000 and a legacy for the son. $100 and a chore for the daughter. I looked at the card, then at my father. He was not being malicious, not consciously. That was the worst part. He genuinely thought he was being generous. He just did not see me. To him, I was not a person with a career, with dreams, with value. I was the spare part. The black sheep. The vessel for everything that did not fit into his perfect narrative. Scapegoating is a funny thing. It is not always about hate. Sometimes, it is about balance. A narcissistic parent like my father needs a hero to validate his own ego, to prove his genes are superior. That is Connor. The golden child. But a hero needs a contrast. A winner needs a loser. Someone has to carry the failures, the disappointments, the mediocrity, so the hero can shine brighter. That was me. I was the designated failure. If I succeeded, it threatened the family myth. If I was competent, then why was I not the favorite? So my competence had to be ignored. My achievements had to be invisible. I had to be small so Connor could be big. I sat there at that table, holding that plastic card, and I realized something. I was not waiting for them to love me. I was waiting for them to see me. And they never would. Because seeing me would mean admitting they were wrong. It would mean dismantling the entire structure of their lives. I put the card in my purse. I did not say thank you. I did not say anything. I just drank my water and let the cold liquid numb the fire in my throat. I knew something they did not. I knew where I was going in 2 weeks. I knew that on the ship, there are no golden children. There are only pilots who can fly, and pilots who die. And Connor? He was about to find out which one he was. Back in the briefing room, the laughter is dying down, replaced by the rustle of flight suits and the clicking of pens. Connor winks at me, dismissive, cruel. Go on now, he says, waving a hand. Maybe you can grab us some fresh coffee on your way out. I feel the heat rise in my neck, but I push it down. I trap it in a box in my mind labeled fuel. I do not say a word. I turn my back on him and walk out the rear door. I descend. Down the narrow steel ladders, past the galley, deeper into the belly of the ship. The air gets cooler, recycling through heavy vents. The lights change from fluorescent white to combat blue. I reach a heavy steel door marked restricted access. I swipe my badge. The lock clicks, a solid, mechanical sound. I step inside. Welcome to the deep. The Combat Direction Center. It is a room of shadows and screens, humming with the sound of 1 billion calculations per second. It smells of ozone and focus. This is my domain. The men and women inside, sonar techs, intel officers, radar operators, snap to attention as I walk in. They do not see a sister. They do not see a failure. They see their boss. Commander on deck, the chief of watch barks. Carry on, I say softly. I walk to the center console, the elevated platform that overlooks the glowing map of the Pacific. I sit in the commander's chair. It fits me perfectly. I take a breath, letting the cool air fill my lungs. Why did I not scream at him upstairs? Why did I not list my rank, my flight hours, my call sign? Because I learned a long time ago that shouting at a wall only hurts your throat. When you grow up in a house where cruelty is normalized, where insults are just background noise like the hum of a refrigerator, you learn to conserve your energy. You learn that reacting is weakness. Silence is strength. You learn to wait. You learn to build your power in the dark, where they cannot see it, where they cannot touch it. I did not scream because I do not need to win an argument. I need to win the war. The door to the briefing room upstairs opens again. I watch it on the security monitor. Admiral Sterling walks in. He is the strike group commander, a man of iron and salt. The room snaps to attention. Connor puffs out his chest, ready to be noticed, ready to be praised. Admiral Sterling walks right past him. He does not even blink. He walks through the crowd, ignoring the salutes, looking for something. Looking for someone. Where is Shadow 1? He asks, his voice cutting through the silence. Connor looks confused. Shadow 1? Who is that? The Admiral turns and walks to the rear door, the same one I just used. He descends the ladder. He walks into the deep. My team stands again. Admiral Sterling walks up to my platform. He looks at me, his eyes sharp and respectful. Commander Haley, he says. I stand up. Sir. He raises his hand and renders a crisp, perfect salute. I return it. For the next 48 hours, he says, loud enough for the room to hear, you are mission commander for the opposing force. You have full tactical control. The board is yours. I look at the screen. I see the blue dots representing the friendly forces. I see Connor's jet, Viper 1, taxiing onto the catapult. He thinks he is the hero of this story. He thinks he is flying into a training exercise. He has no idea. He is flying into my world now. And in my world, Daddy cannot save you. I put on my headset. The foam cups seal out the hum of the servers, replacing it with the crackle of the radio frequency. I key the mic. Attention all stations. This is Shadow 1. I have tactical control. The hunt begins now. My voice is calm. It is the voice of someone who has already seen the end of the movie. On the main tactical display, the blue icons representing the friendly forces are moving north. Connor is in the lead, Viper 1. He is flying an F-35C Lightning II, a $100 million marvel of stealth and sensors. It is designed to see everything before it is seen. It is designed to be invincible. And Connor believes the marketing. He believes the machine makes the man. Viper 1, check in, the AWACS controller says. Viper 1 is on station, Connor replies. His voice is distorted by the radio, but the swagger is unmistakable. Radars are clean. Skies are empty. Looks like a milk run, boys. A milk run. He thinks this is a game. He thinks the enemy will play fair. He has no idea that I am not just controlling the enemy. I am the enemy. Shadow 1 to Ghost Flight, I say into my private channel. Execute protocol Silent Hunter. Copy, Shadow 1. Ghosts are active. On the screen, my aggressor drones activate. They are small, unmanned, and fast. But they are not carrying missiles. They are carrying electronic warfare suites. They are not here to shoot him down. They are here to lie to him. Connor's radar screen, up in his cockpit, suddenly lights up. A single red blip appears at his 2 o'clock, low and slow. It is a rabbit, a decoy designed to look like an easy kill. A disciplined pilot would ignore it. A disciplined pilot would stay in formation, cover his wingman, and wait for a confirmed threat assessment. But Connor is not disciplined. He is hungry. He wants to be the hero. He wants to land back on the deck and tell Dad how he bagged the first bandit. Tally-ho, Connor shouts. I have got a visual on a single bandit. Breaking formation to engage. Negative, Viper 1, his wingman calls out. Stay in formation. We do not have confirmation. I do not need confirmation, Connor snaps. I have got a tone. I am taking the shot. He banks his jet hard, hitting the afterburners. He chases the rabbit. He leaves the protective envelope of his flight group. He is now alone in the sky, chasing a ghost. Now, I whisper. I type a command into my console. The drones activate their jammers. Up in the sky, Connor's world fractures. His radar screen, once clear, suddenly floods with noise. False targets bloom everywhere, 10, 20, 50 red blips swarming him from all directions. His threat warning receiver starts screaming. His expensive, high-tech helmet display, which is supposed to fuse all this data into a clear picture, becomes a kaleidoscope of confusion. What the hell? I hear him say, the confidence cracking. My scope is cluttered. I am getting multiple locks. Where are they? Trust your eyes, Lieutenant, I say to the empty room. Look outside. But he cannot. He is a system baby. He learned to fly on screens. He trusts the green glow of the HUD more than the horizon. He is staring at his displays, trying to make sense of the chaos I have created. He is not looking out the canopy. And because he is not looking, he does not see the two real aggressor jets slipping into his blind spot. My Ghost aircraft, F-18s painted in black and blue splinter camouflage, are flying silent. No radar. No radio. Just visual acquisition. They slide in behind him, silent predators stalking a loud, confused prey. They lock onto him with infrared sensors, which do not trigger his warning alarms. Viper 1, you are being flanked, his wingman yells. Brake left. Brake left. I cannot see them. Connor screams. His voice is an octave higher now. My sensors are down. I am blind. He is not blind. The sky is clear. The sun is shining. He is blind because he never learned to see. He relied on the tech to do the work for him, just like he relied on Dad to get him into the academy, just like he relied on the family name to open every door. Now, the door is locked, and he does not have a key. Shadow 1 to Ghost lead, I say. Do not kill him yet. Toy with him. Copy that, Shadow 1. My aggressor pilots execute a thump maneuver. They accelerate past him at supersonic speed, the shockwave rocking his jet. They flare their afterburners in his face. It is a schoolyard shove at 20,000 feet. It is disrespectful. It is humiliating. Connor yanks his stick, overcorrecting. His jet shudders, bleeding energy. He is stalling. He is flailing in the sky, a multi-million-dollar leaf in the wind. I need help. He yells. Where is my support? Your support is holding formation, Lieutenant, I say to myself. Because they followed orders. He is isolated. He is confused. He is terrified. He is exactly where I want him. The predator has become the prey, and for the first time in his life, there is no safety net. There is only the cold, hard math of aerial combat, and the equation is not in his favor. Panic is a predator. It does not hunt you down, it waits for you to stumble, and then it eats you alive. In the cockpit of Viper 1, Connor had stumbled. I watched the telemetry data stream across my console. His heart rate was 140 beats per minute. His breathing was shallow and rapid. He was hyperventilating. The ghost targets I had flooded his display with were doing their job. To him, the sky was full of enemies. Every shadow was a missile. Every cloud was a bandit. They are everywhere. He screamed into the radio. I cannot shake them. I am defensive. Viper 1, calm down, the AWACS controller said, his voice tense. Reset your sensors. You are chasing phantoms. They are not phantoms. Connor yelled. I can see them. They are locking on. He could not see them. There was nothing there. But fear has a way of painting monsters on an empty canvas. And then, the situation shifted from a training exercise to a nightmare. A new contact entered the airspace. It was a KC-135 Stratotanker, a massive, lumbering refueling aircraft. It was friendly. It was squawking a friendly identification code. It was essentially a flying gas station, filled with thousands of gallons of jet fuel and a crew of 4. It was entering the training box on a pre-approved flight path, slow and steady. On my screen, it was a green circle. A friend. On Connor's jammed and glitching display, it was just a massive, unidentified radar return closing in on his nose. Contact. Connor shouted. 12 o'clock high. Heavy bomber. He is on a collision course. Negative, Viper 1, I said, leaning into my mic. That is a tanker. Friendly. Check your IFF. My IFF is down. He screamed. He is not squawking. He is hostile. He is coming right for me. He was not coming for him. The tanker was 5 miles away and holding steady. But Connor had lost all situational awareness. He had lost the ability to process information. He had reverted to instinct, and his instinct was aggression born of terror. I am not letting him drop on the fleet, Connor said. His voice dropped an octave. It was not the swaggering pilot anymore. It was a scared child with a loaded gun. I am engaging. My blood ran cold. The F-35C he was flying was carrying training missiles, inert rounds that could not explode. But it also had an internal cannon. A 25mm Gatling gun. And for this exercise, because it was a deployment certification, the gun was loaded with live ammunition. Viper 1, hold fire. The AWACS controller shouted. Do not engage. That is a friendly. Repeat, friendly. He is armed. Connor yelled, hallucinating threats. I am taking the shot. I looked at the telemetry feed from his cockpit. I saw his hand move to the weapon control panel. I saw his finger lift the safety cover on the master arm switch. In the Navy, there are lines you do not cross. You do not leave a man behind. You do not lie to your commander. And you never, ever arm a live weapon against an unidentified target in a training zone. That is not a mistake. That is a crime. That is criminal negligence. If he pulled that trigger, he would not just fail the evaluation. He would kill 4 people. He would cause an international incident. He would go to prison for manslaughter. He is arming, the sonar tech next to me whispered, his face pale. Master arm is hot. The room went dead silent. We were watching a train wreck in slow motion. Admiral Sterling stood up, his chair clattering back. He grabbed the radio handset. Viper 1, this is Admiral Sterling. Weapons safe. Abort. Abort. Connor did not hear him. He was too far gone. The panic was deafening. He was staring at the tanker, convinced it was a bomber sent to destroy him, convinced he was the only thing standing between the fleet and destruction. He was the hero in his own tragedy. I have got a lock, Connor breathed. Taking the shot. He was not a pilot anymore. He was a liability. A dangerous, terrified liability with a loaded gun pointed at a friend. And I was the only one who could stop him. Admiral, stand down, I said. My voice was not loud, but it cut through the chaos like a razor. Admiral Sterling looked at me, phone still in his hand, his face flushed with the kind of rage that usually ends careers. What? I said, stand down, sir. I have the con. I turned back to my console. My fingers flew across the keyboard. This was the moment I had prepared for. This was why I spent 3 years in the dark, learning every line of code, every backdoor, every safety protocol built into the Navy's most advanced aircraft. Initiating Shadow 0, I said. Shadow 0. It was a classified override protocol, a kill switch designed for exactly this scenario, when a pilot goes rogue, or incapacitated, or insane. It allowed a mission commander to seize control of the aircraft's flight computer remotely. It was the ultimate safety net, and Connor did not even know it existed. I typed the command sequence. Lock. Override. Assume control. Executing, I whispered. On the screen, the data block for Viper 1 flashed from blue to amber. Up in the sky, Connor's world froze. His stick went dead in his hand. His throttle locked. His weapon system, milliseconds away from firing, shut down. The master arm switch flipped itself back to safe with a mechanical click that sounded like a judgment. What is happening? Connor screamed. I have lost control. The stick is not responding. I am crashing. You are not crashing, Lieutenant, I said into the mic. You are being flown. I grabbed the joystick on my console. It was a small, plastic controller, nothing like the heavy stick in his cockpit, but right now, it was the only thing keeping him out of prison. I pulled back gently. On the main display, Viper 1 banked hard to the left, pulling away from the tanker. The friendly aircraft continued on its path, oblivious to how close it had come to destruction. Connor was now a passenger in his own jet. Who is doing this? He yelled. Let me go. Negative, I said. You are relieved of command, Viper 1. Sit back and enjoy the ride. I guided his jet into a holding pattern, away from the other aircraft, away from the danger. I leveled him out at 20,000 feet. The panic in his voice turned to confusion, then to a sullen, terrified silence. He knew. Deep down, he knew he had lost. Bring him home, I told the approach controller. Remote landing sequence engaged. I watched as the computer guided his plane back to the carrier. It was a perfect, automated landing. The hook caught the third wire. The jet slammed onto the deck and came to a halt. The room let out a collective breath. Admiral Sterling slowly lowered the handset. He looked at me, and for the first time, I saw something other than respect in his eyes. I saw relief. Good work, Commander, he said quietly. Thank you, sir, I replied. I stood up. My legs felt shaky, but I locked my knees. Permission to head to the debrief? Granted. I walked out of the deep and climbed the ladder. I walked down the long, gray corridor toward the briefing room. I did not hurry. I wanted him to be sitting there. I wanted him to be waiting. When I entered the room, it was silent. The other pilots were there, still in their flight suits, looking at the floor. They knew what had happened. They knew they had almost witnessed a tragedy. Connor sat at the front, his helmet on the table in front of him. He looked small. He looked like a little boy who had broken a window and was waiting for his punishment. I walked to the front of the room. I stood at the podium. I was wearing my full uniform now, my rank insignia gleaming on my shoulders. Commander. Shadow 1. Let us review the tape, I said. The screen behind me lit up. It showed the HUD footage from Connor's jet. It showed the ghost targets. It showed the panic. It showed him arming a live weapon against a friendly tanker. At 14:02, I said, pointing to the screen, Lieutenant Connor attempted to fire a 25mm cannon at a KC-135 Stratotanker carrying 4 souls and 30,000 pounds of fuel. The room flinched. You did not check your IFF, I said, looking directly at him. You did not listen to the AWACS. You did not trust your wingmen. You trusted the machine. And when the machine lied to you, you broke. Connor looked up. His eyes were red. I thought I was saving the ship. You were not saving anything, I said. You were reacting. You were scared. And because you were scared, you almost became a murderer. I leaned forward, my hands on the podium. There are no golden children up there, Lieutenant. There are only pilots who do the work, and pilots who do not. Today, you did not do the work. And if I had not taken the stick out of your hand, you would be in the brig right now facing a court-martial for manslaughter. I let that hang in the air. The weight of it crushed him. He slumped in his chair, defeated. Dismissed, I said. I walked out of the room. I did not look back. I did not need to see his face. I knew what defeat looked like. I had seen it in the mirror for years. But today, the face in the mirror was different. Today, the face in the mirror was a winner. I walked out onto the flight deck. The sun was setting, painting the ocean in shades of gold and fire. The wind whipped my hair, salty and cold. Haley. I turned. My father was standing by the tower. He looked older. He looked tired. He was holding the Rolex box in his hand. I heard what happened, he said. I am sure you did. Is he going to fly again? That is up to the Admiral, I said. But if it were up to me? No. He is dangerous. My father looked down at the watch. I gave him this. I told him it was his legacy. You gave him a watch, Dad, I said. You did not give him the skills to earn it. He looked at me then. Really looked at me. And you? What did I give you? Nothing, I said. And that was the best gift you could have given me. Because I had to earn everything myself. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the plastic gift card. I walked over to him and pressed it into his hand. "Use this for gas," I said. "You have a long drive home." I turned and walked away, toward the horizon, toward my ship, toward my life. I was Shadow 1. And I was finally out of the shadows. The fallout was immediate, bureaucratic, and absolute. Connor did not go to prison. The Navy prefers to handle its embarrassments quietly. Instead, he faced a field flight performance board. They reviewed the tapes. They saw the panic. They saw the attempted override of safety protocols. They saw a man who was dangerous to himself and everyone around him. They stripped him of his wings. 2 days later, I was walking through the logistics hangar to sign off on a fuel manifest. I turned a corner and saw a junior officer pushing a cart loaded with boxes of printer paper and toner cartridges. It was Connor. He was wearing his service khakis, but the gold wings were gone from his chest. He looked tired. The swagger was gone. The golden childish shine had rubbed off, leaving only dull, resentful metal underneath. He stopped the cart when he saw me. He looked at the silver oak leaves on my collar, "Commander." Then he looked down at the box of paper in his hands. The irony was heavy enough to crush him. He was doing the exact job he had mocked me for. He was the paper pusher now. He did not say anything. He just looked down at the deck and pushed his cart past me. The wheels squeaked. I did not stop him. I did not gloat. I did not need to. The universe had balanced the books. 1 year later. I am sitting in my office at Naval Air Station Oceana. The view from the window is gray steel and gray sky. It is beautiful. On my desk, a nameplate reads, "Captain Haley, Commander, Carrier Air Wing 8. I skipped a rank. Admiral Sterling pushed it through. He said he needed someone who could fly the chessboard, not just the pieces. The computer hums in the corner. I have a budget meeting in 10 minutes and a tactical briefing in 30. But first, I have to clear my inbox. I scroll through the usual traffic, maintenance schedules, personnel reports, fuel logistics. And then I stop. There, buried between a weather report and a transfer request, is a name I have not seen in 12 months. Sender, Richard. Subject, family. My pulse does not race. My palms do not sweat. The old panic, the conditioned response of a child waiting for the blow, is gone. It has been replaced by a clinical detachment. I look at it like an intel officer looks at a decrypted intercept. I click open the email. Haley. I hope you are well. I heard about the promotion. Congratulations. That is a big step. Things here are quiet. Your mother misses you. Look, I am writing because I am in a bit of a bind, and I thought, given your new position, you might have some pull. Connor is miserable in supply. The work is beneath him. He is depressed, Haley. I know you two had your differences, but he is still your brother. There is a slot opening up for a transport pilot training program. It is not fighters, but it is flying. If you could put in a good word with Admiral Sterling, maybe smooth things over. I think it would be a great fresh start for him. We should talk. It has been too long. Let us bury the hatchet. We are family, after all. Dad. I lean back in my chair. It is a masterclass in narcissism. No apology. No acknowledgement of the parking lot confrontation where I returned his insult. No, I am sorry I told you that you were a failure. Just a casual congratulations followed immediately by a request for a favor. He calls his son's near murderous negligence differences. He calls my year of silence too long. He has not changed. He is still trying to use me to fix his golden child. He still thinks family is a magic word that grants him access to my labor. For a second, the old Haley wakes up. She wants to reply. She wants to type out a furious, 3-page email detailing every hurt, every slight, every birthday gift card, every time he looked through her. She wants to scream, "Why do you only call when you need something?" But the captain silences her. The captain knows better. I realize something profound in this quiet office. Hate is not the opposite of love. Hate is still a connection. Hate requires energy. It requires you to hold on to the hot coal of your anger, waiting to throw it. The opposite of love is indifference. If I reply, even to say no, even to scream at him, I am giving him what he wants, engagement. I am validating his position in my life. I am telling him that he still has the power to make me feel something. But he does not. He is just a ghost from a life I used to live. I look at the options on my screen. Reply. Reply all. Delete. I move the mouse to the right. Archive. To archive is the ultimate power move. It means you are not destroying it out of anger, and you are not responding out of obligation. You are simply filing it away. It exists, but it is no longer active. It is history. It is data. It has no emotional weight. I click the button. The email vanishes from the inbox. The screen is clean. I take a deep breath, and the air fills my lungs completely. I do not feel guilty. I do not feel sad. I feel light. I have finally learned the lesson I tried to teach Connor in the sky: you cannot save someone who refuses to save themselves. And you cannot fly if you are tethered to the ground by dead weight. I stand up, grab my cover, and walk out of the office. I head up to the flight line. The sun is setting, painting the Virginia sky in streaks of violent orange and bruised purple. It is the golden hour. The sound hits me first, the roar of afterburners tearing through the atmosphere. I look up. A flight of 2 F-18s is rotating off the runway. They pull vertical, climbing straight into the sun, leaving twin trails of white vapor behind them. They look like birds of prey. They look dangerous and beautiful. I watch them climb until they are just specks against the vastness of the sky. My father used to tell me that the cockpit was no place for a woman. He was wrong. The cockpit is exactly where I belong. But not just the cockpit of a jet. The cockpit of my own life. I am 33 years old. I am alone in the traditional sense, no parents calling to check on me, no brother to share holidays with. But standing there on the tarmac, surrounded by the thunder of freedom, I have never felt less lonely. I have my ship. I have my crew. I have my rank. And most importantly, I have my self-respect. I look at the horizon where the ocean meets the sky. I am Haley. And I am not his daughter anymore. I am Shadow 1. I turn around and walk back toward the hangar, ready for the next mission. The sky is wide open, and for the first time, it is all mine. If you have ever had to save yourself by walking away from the people who are supposed to protect you, hit that like button. Subscribe for more stories about finding your power in the shadows. This is Shadow 1, signing off.